Here we are again, ladies and gentlemen, in the garage. Peter Clayton, brilliantly behind the camera.
Oh, I don't know about that, Jerome.
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
Oh, yes. Brilliantly. How's Katie?
Oh, she's beautiful. Just beautiful.
Yeah, she is. You have to bring her up one day and show everyone.
Yes, I could do that.
She's so well behaved, as opposed to my Jack Russell. She's not exactly my Jack Russell, but no, she's a very, very obedient, loving dog. All dogs are, you know. I love them. Unrequiring, unconditional love. Yeah. The Court of Public Opinion, ladies and gentlemen, in session for another moment here in the garage. Someone alerted me to this payment redirection scam thing that's going around. Won't hurt to make mention of it again, because you just have to be so goddamn careful. Oh, the payment redirection scams. Now, there's been a huge jump in these in recent times. This is where you have had a transaction and you get a bill, you get an invoice, which is intercepted. Now, don't ask me how they intercept it, but the internet comes with pluses and minuses. There's good and bad, I suspect, in everything. But anyway, it's intercepted, and your payment, when you make it, is redirected to the scammers. $16 million so far this year, which is only 4 months old. So you can understand why they do it. It's very lucrative, very clever and hard to spot. In fact, one might say these people are brilliant. The advice is that we should check and double check every invoice before we pay it, and ring and get verification. And in most cases, you wouldn't have any trouble doing that. It's okay. This is where the modern times absolutely confounds me. It was fine when we could sit down and write a cheque, put the cheque in the good old mail. It would be eventually delivered. You send the cheque in the mail to an address you recognise, and that's it. Simple. Then you check your bank statement and you know it's been paid. But the banks don't want checking accounts anymore, which I think is a great shame, a backward step. Anyway, it leaves us with this internet banking thing, which I resist personally. Pete, do you do internet banking?
Well, I do, but I worry every time I do it.
Yeah, well, I don't do it. 1, I don't believe in it. 2, I don't trust it. 3, I don't understand it. Can't do it, so I don't do it.
Well, I still prefer face-to-face, you know.
Yes, no, absolutely.
In everything.
It is only the Commonwealth Bank, my bank these days, have been for forever, but the Commonwealth Bank tolerate me, and every time I run out of cheques, they say, well, Jeremy, this is the last chequebook. And I come back to them and I say, I need another chequebook. And they give me one. I think I'm going to go out as being the last person. That's probably going to be my claim to fame. I'm going to be the last person in Australia to write a cheque and have it cleared.
Well, I can imagine you'll be sending it to people, what, the 12-year-old, and they'll say, what is this?
A cheque.
A cheque, what is this?
Well, you see, the trouble is, all of they used to have cheque clearing buildings where they'd all get into the building, all the different banks, and they would exchange the cheques, and it was all very manual, and it employed a lot of people, which I think is a good thing. It might have been a bit on the tedious side, but it kept money rolling around, circulating, and it was a very effective means of paying things. I don't know that I heard of too many people forging cheques. I suppose it happened. Anyway, we're left with internet banking, which clearly when you look at these scams, is a problem. Treat every invoice that you get as an email of suspicion. I don't know if Pete would agree with me, but that is my advice. Be very sceptical.
I totally agree.
Look, it's a pain in the neck. It's a pain in the neck, but it clearly pays to ring and check every bill that you get. And the best way to get your payment to the person who's asking for it. We have a new Governor-General, Samantha Mostyn. Sam. She likes Sam. Sam Mostyn, AO. Now, I am told a highly respected lawyer, business leader, the first female AFL commissioner, gender equality advocate. Anyway, congratulations, Samantha. I mean, Your Grace, Your Honour, Your Excellency. But sadly, I'm told she is not a monarchist. She is an avowed Republican, so she probably wouldn't want to be called Your Excellency. But I don't know. I've never met her. I've never understood why a Republican would want to represent the King. How? Why would somebody take the job of representing the institution for which they had no respect? Even perhaps some Republicans hold the monarchy in contempt. I don't know how far down the track our new Governor-General has gone in this particular area, but the word hypocrisy comes to mind. Then again, there is the $500,000 salary a year for 5 years. That's the appointment for 5 years. And of course the generous pension for life, the office and staff, travel, Comcars, and all of that goes on in perpetuity. We've got quite a few Governors-General swanning along. I can tell you, it ain't cheap. In fact, I'll dig out those figures because somebody sent them to me once. I know I filed them away. It's quite a staggering amount of money. Anyway, we'll see how she does. But I think a Governor-General has to be apolitical. We'll see. We did get calls on Friday about this around the dining room table, jeremycordeaux.com, 9 to 12, live streaming. No one in support of the appointment. Lots of interesting comments, though. I did bring one down, this one rather to the point. This new Governor-General, Spartan, says, another clown added to the Albanese clown show. She is an activist, woke, a socialist, a trans advocate, and a climate alarmist. Spartan, I don't know, I didn't hear any of this, but you know, this is what your comments. Somebody else who doesn't approve of the new Governor-General is Pauline Hanson. She thought Peter Cosgrove was best, and she went on to say the appointment announced by Labor is not in Australia's best interest. Didn't elaborate on that, but just not in Australia's best interest. And she said instead of politicians choosing the Governor-General, her suggestion was let the people nominate who they want as Governor-General. Now, up until 1931, I believe it was the Brits who decided. It was the Parliament in Britain who decided, not even the king. In fact, he didn't approve of or like the first Governor-General. And I can't tell you why, but our first Governor-General was Sir Isaac Isaacs. But that obviously crossed swords or something in the past, I've got no idea. But after all of this, I don't know, you think about it, this person, the Governor-General, is supposed to be the personal representative of the sovereign. Hard to imagine that the sovereign shouldn't have any hand in that. But anyway, from 1931, after that, the appointment was then made by the palace, whether it was the sovereign or his advisors or not, I don't know. Years later, Bob Menzies suggested to the Queen, Queen Elizabeth, that the Australian Prime Minister and the sovereign should choose. The compromise was that each would draw up a list of 3 possible candidates, and from that the decision would be made. And that worked fine. That worked well over lots and lots of years. These days, from Tony Abbott's time on, it is just the Australian Prime Minister's decision, the captain's pick, if you like, which of course makes the appointment of the Governor-General in Australia the definitive political appointment. Not that governors aren't and not that judges aren't. That's the way that it works. Conflicting comments on Friday. Just let me report to you, because I did mention it last week, on whether or not Woolworths had banned Anzac biscuits. Well, look, it ran around the table for about half an hour. It seems that the truth is, when you dig down into it, that the Anzac biscuit tin, which is a money raiser, a fundraiser for the RSL, was not going to be stocked by Woolworths. They weren't going to stock that, but they were going to sell Anzac biscuits. So they are selling Anzac biscuits, but they're not selling the Anzac biscuit tin promoted and benefiting the RSL. What's behind that? I've got no idea. We couldn't find anyone from Woolworths to make us a comment, give us a reason. Philip Lowe, the former governor of the Reserve Bank, interesting man, admirable man, no longer muzzled, nobbled or hobbled. Just to be clear, where I stand, I think he was given a very raw deal as governor. I think he was a sacrificial goat, sacrificed by this government for the high interest rates, which was certainly a contentious political issue. We need a head. We need someone to blame. His decisions were basically right. And that's borne out by Michelle Bullock, the present governor of the Reserve Bank, because she's continued his trajectory. Now, in a wide-ranging speech, the former governor, Philip Lowe, said, and I found all this interesting, the current tax system is no longer fit for purpose. Now, here is a man of enormous credibility. I haven't seen anyone do anything with his statements, which is sad in a way, because, God, I think he's absolutely right. The current tax system is no longer fit for purpose. I could look it up and tell you, but it's hundreds of... The tax law, the act, the law, is... It's something like 100,000 pages long. It's crazy. Anyway, he said we should tax income and enterprise less and consumption more. He's perfectly right. You want to control inflation? That's about too much money chasing too few goods and services. That's what inflation is. It only stands to reason if you're going to stop something or dampen down something, it's consumption. But you don't tax effort and enterprise, income. Damn right. Bleeding obvious. Tax represses. We need to encourage. We need to encourage effort and enterprise. This makes a country great. We shouldn't tax employment, and we do. Can you imagine anything as crazy and as counterintuitive and counterproductive as a payroll tax? You employ people, it's a state tax, mind you, but you employ people, and every person you employ, we're going to hit you with a stipend. We're going to hit you with a tax. We shouldn't tax employment or enterprise. These are things to be rewarded, encouraged. I need to hear politicians and would-be politicians talking like this. And the other side, the flip side of the coin, if you like, if government didn't waste so much money, they could afford to collect less. A lot to talk about there. Brittany Higgins and the Bruce Lehrman Dog and Pony Show continues, unabated. Oh, God. God. It's still before the courts, so I'll tread carefully. It's difficult to comment. If we ever see this stuff clear of the courts, we'll talk about it at length here in the Court of Public Opinion. It has been enormously damaging for a lot of people. I mean, it cost me my job at 5AA, although that probably would have happened anyway along the way. What has it been, 3 or 4 years, I think?
Yeah.
The expression "a lawyer's picnic" comes to mind. It seems to me that a lot of people, their reputations, their careers, their futures have been irrevocably affected or damaged. Checkbook journalism, which we saw great evidence of in the last sort of 10 days, 7 days, 10 days. Checkbook journalism has been around forever. But you may well ask, should it be? Should we allow checkbook journalism? It's all driven by competition between the stations, the papers, the magazines. Perhaps it just simply shouldn't be allowed. I don't know. What do you think? I really don't know. Have I got time for one more? Okay. It's been a good year for billionaires. Not that any of us would care, because I think once you've made a certain amount of money, life rumbles on quite happily forever. But a very good year for billionaires. According to Forbes, who keep an interesting eye on this sort of stuff, there are now 2,781 billionaires. Did you know that, Pete?
Oh, yes, I heard it, yes.
2,781 billionaires. People worth more than, can you get your mind around this? Each of these people is worth more than $1,000 million. Collectively, they have $14.2 trillion, which is, let's see, that is about the total GDP, the gross domestic product of China. Amazing.
Taylor Swift has joined that club.
Yes, she's joined that club. Yes. Taylor Swift. And just for the record, the richest man in the world is a guy called Bernard Arnault, spelled Arnault, which I guess you'd pronounce it like the Renault motor car, Arnault, I guess it would be right. He's worth $233 billion. He and his family own the fashion and beauty brands, the best in the world, Tiffany and Louis Vuitton. He used to own R.M. Williams, but that's back in Australian hands now. Twiggy Forrest bought that back. So, you know, I can understand how he's made all his money. The richest woman in the world is a lady by the name of Françoise Bethencourt, also very French, certainly sounds French. The family owns Walmart in the United States, huge chain of department stores and whatnot. Forbes say that she's worth $99.3 billion. So there you go. There you go. I want to talk to you when we come back tomorrow. I want to talk to you about these people who are challenging, questioning the legality of the curfew in Alice Springs. Now, I just find it so hard to believe. Number one, it's necessary. Number two, it's popular. And there are other towns like Catherine and Moree, just about every outback town in Australia is going to go down this track because they simply have to. They do not wish to be terrorised by Aboriginal children, some of them as young as 8, wandering the streets all hours of the day and night. Now, it's not racism, it's just law and order. Something's got to be done. I want to talk to you in detail about that tomorrow. We'll do that first up. My glasses, what do I do with my glasses? Got a song for us, Pete?
I'll find one.
Good.
Yeah, I haven't looked, but I'll find one. Yeah.
You've got to find one that they let, because Facebook apparently, if they, I don't know what happens, but they...
It's hit and miss.
It's hit and miss. We've got to find things that they either like or isn't subject to royalties.
Well, you know, they block my own songs and say I've breached copyright.
You've written a song,
they never say who I've copied, and you can't ask anyone.
Oh, it's bizarre. Ah, lordy, lordy. Anyway, do the best you can for us, kid. It's April the 9th. His Royal Highness Charles, Prince of Wales, marries the love of his life, Camilla Parker Bowles, on this day in 2005 with the blessing of his mother. Some years on, 2021, Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh, his father, consort of Great Britain's Queen Elizabeth II, dies at the age of 99. Good life well lived. Cheetah, the chimpanzee actor, in the 1930s Tarzan franchise, and we're talking about 1932, the cheetah was born. So in the 1930s, she was just but, what do you call a young chimp?
I don't know.
A pup?
I've never heard it. No.
Something like that. Anyway, she was born on this day in 1932, died on this day in 2011. Now that is another long life. Golly. Winston Churchill becomes the first honorary US citizen in 1963. Hugh Hefner, American magazine publisher and businessman, born in Chicago. He dies in 2017, born this day in 1926. Bob Hope's first TV appearance in 1950. I talked to him, I don't know, must have been, over the years, it must have been 20 times or more. Lovely, lovely man. Bob Hope. Bob Hope and Bing Crosby. These were two just... apparently, I don't know how well they got on with each other, but to me they were just the iconic show business people. Just wonderful, timeless entertainers. The most important... Oh, hang on. The most important person in the world was born on this day.
Yeah, who? Oh, you got me.
The most important person in the world was born on this day. Friend of Jack Russell's, Labradors and horses. Her name was Caroline. Caroline, happy birthday. You wrote that. Self-promoting, I mean, for God's sake, I mean, you have absolutely no shame. Can I tell you, she was born in 1964. She put the date here, so I have no problem in mentioning it to you. This day in 1964. In fact, that makes her 60 years old. Marie Louise van Hessen-Kassel, Princess of Orange, and ancestor of all currently reigning monarchs in Europe, dies at the age of 77 on this day in 1765. 1765. She died at the age of 70. She must have been very busy. I mean, she was the ancestor of all the currently reigning monarchs in Europe. Wow. Robert Helpman, one of the original stately homos of Australia, Australian actor, choreographer, dancer, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, Don Quixote. He was born in Mount Gambier in South Australia. He died in 86. He was born in 1909. Very interesting, flamboyant man. Robert Helpman, Sir Robert Helpman, I should say. The funeral of Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, at Westminster Abbey. More than 1 million people lined the streets on this day in 2002 to farewell the Queen Mother. A very, very much loved individual. Sophia Loren, I talked to her once. 31, remarries film actor, producer Carlo Ponti. He was 65, she was 31, in Paris, France. Married him for the second time. That was in 1966. I still don't know how that worked, you know. When I say, Pete, when I say Carlo Ponti, do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
He was this tall.
Yeah.
And she was, she was forever.
Yeah.
She was forever beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't it strange? The people fall in love with. Really is interesting.
Love is blind.
Well, I don't know what it is, but it's certainly worth studying. Is it chemistry? Is it just a look? Is it something that resonates? You know, sometimes you only have to see someone for the fraction of a second, and you will strangely never forget as long as you live that person.
I'll never forget Emmylou Harris.
You'll never forget Emmylou Harris.
Instant love.
I sort of don't blame you. I don't blame you. I think we should leave it there. I don't think there's anything else that's terribly memorable in here. We're going to run out of battery, aren't we? Hang on. Let me just see what's on the other page. Frank Lloyd Wright, America's greatest architect, dies at 89. That was in 1959. I contest that. I don't think Frank Lloyd Wright was the greatest architect in America. John Major was elected Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. 1992, wins the most votes in British electoral history. Wow. And Baghdad falls to US forces, ending the invasion of Iraq, but resulting in widespread looting and terrible, terrible conflict. 2003. Show me a war that doesn't end in conflict and looting. Thank you very much for being with us, ladies and gentlemen. Here comes a nice piece of selected music by Peter Clayton. I'm Jeremy Cordeaux. We'll be back tomorrow. Believe in yourself, and thank you for viewing the Court of Public Opinion.
Thank you. This song I wrote with Bob McDill, who's probably one of the greatest writers in Nashville, Tennessee. And it's my favorite of all the songs that I've had recorded or written. It's called Everything That Glitters Is Not Gold. Saw your picture on a poster in a cafe out in Phoenix. Guess you're still the sweetheart of the rodeo. As for me and little Casey, we still make the circuit in a one-horse trailer and mobile home. And she still asks about you all the time, and I guess we never even cross your mind. But oh, sometimes I think about you and the way you used to ride out in your rhinestones and your sequins, with the sunlight on your hair. And oh, the crowd will always love you. But as for me, I've come to know everything that glitters is not gold. Well, old Red, he's getting older, and last Saturday he stumbled. But you know I just can't bear to let him go. Little Casey, she's still growing, and she started asking questions. And there's certain things a man just doesn't know. Her birthday came and he never even called. I guess we never crossed your mind at all. But then sometimes I think about you and the way you used to ride down in your rhinestones and your sequins, with the sunlight on your hair. And oh, the crowd will always love you. But as for me, I've come to know everything that glitters is not gold. Everybody said you'd make it big someday, and I guess that we were only in your way. But someday I'm sure you're gonna know the cost. 'Cause for everything you win, there's something lost. Within sometimes I think about you and the way you used to ride down in your rhinestones and your sequins, with the sunlight on your hair. And oh, the crowd will always love you. But as for me, I've come to know everything glitters is not gold. Oh, everything glitters is not gold.